Yo, what's up, people? It's the Solar Kid, and we're back on the other side of the sun podcast. And today I have a very special guest, one of my oldest friends, good friend growing up. we were side by side through many things. And
Yeah, man.
my pleasure to introduce Mr. Wade Martin from Waream Group International. How you doing, my
How's
bro?
it? All right yourself, man?
Good.
Now, all good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Let
So
me.
how's things?
All right, good, man. Let me give you an introduction, and then we can kick it off, man. So Wade is a self-proclaimed new age technologist and entrepreneurial business visionary.
Short.
I'll get into that later, but let's start
Yeah.
off by how are you, man? How are you, my bro?
No, I'm good, eh? I'm good. I'm in good health. People always ask you that question. Are you in good health, good wealth? And I'm focusing more on my health. I always focus more on my health. For me, that's my wealth. Apart from that, yeah, no, uh, I'm alive, and for me, being alive is the ultimate gift.
Of
It's
course,
the
man.
ultimate gift.
I think that's
Yeah,
like you know what you're saying now, nah? Like so many people like they say, what's the meaning of life? What's the point of life? Why are we here? What's the point of existence? It's like to live.
exactly,
To live.
exactly. That's the
What
thing.
more can you ask for? You know what I mean?
And it's true what you're saying. For me, a few years ago, I was laying in a hospital bed, and I was given at most, 10% chance of life, at most.
What?
Um, because I had a heart attack. And
What?
so I had a heart attack. Yeah, I had a heart attack. I had a quadruple
What
bypass
the
at
fuck, bro?
31 years old. At 31 years old, I had a quadruple bypass.
What the hell
So,
have you been doing in life, bro?
no, look, I obviously, I overdone it. I mean, um, I had my business for sure for a lot of years. And I started very, very young. I mean, after we left school, I started the company, and I started as a one-man band, and I was running it as a one-man band. And um, I had some people that I was working with, but it wasn't really on a permanent basis. And I tried to fill the thing that we never know about business is that even though you're a one-man show, you actually filling up the position in an organogram, which is that structure where you have the director and
Oh, and
blah
yeah.
blah 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 blah. So when you are in a business, especially if you're in a startup or if you're in your own business, you're actually filling all those roles, technically speaking. And I was doing that over the years, and I took
Go
on
study
too
at
much
all.
training.
Did you go and study at all, or did you go to uni or college?
Yeah, no, sure. I mean, I've been everywhere. I've studied everywhere. I've done, but I've done specific things that I wanted to learn. So I've studied web design. I studied Java at different places. I even went to SAP school in Woodmead. So I've done everything all my experience that I've acquired to date, all the skills that I've acquired to date. I've studied in that specific area, and I wanted to trade in that specific task or skill set that I was learning. But the problem is that I it became overwhelming. So I mean, I studied and researched and worked by myself. And one day I was on a way to a client, and I said to this client, you know what, I'm not feeling well, man. I'm having these pains, and I think actually before that, the day before that, I had these pains in my chest, but I was continuing because all I wanted was success. I just wanted to succeed in what I'm doing. I just wanted to broaden my landscape and to scale my vision, my business. And what happened was, I first went to the hospital, and they done the tests on me. They put ECG tests, they done blood tests, they found nothing. And as a matter of fact, I went to the hospital, and I had also follow up a second opinion. And so I knew there was nothing wrong with me. And I continued pushing. And the next day, when I was on the way to this client, and I said, I'm having chest pain, but it really became intense. And at that point, I just turned around and said, you know what? I'm going to the hospital again. And because clearly something's not right with me. And I got home and met up with my wife. And I told her I'm having these pains. And by that time, I couldn't feel my arms.
Wow.
So, yeah, so it was bad. I got to the hospital. They asked me my age, 31. They didn't think anything about it. I never thought anything about it. I was on my phone trying to tell clients I'm not going to see them because I'm held up at the hospital. And next best thing, the nurse comes, takes my phones away from me and says, you're having a heart attack. We have to move you right now into ICU.
Wow.
I thought, no, there's no ways that can happen. And you know what? They put me in an ambulance. They took me off to the hospital, to another hospital, a cardio ward for the heart in the ICU. And then they said they're gonna do they call it an angiogram. So they're gonna put stents in my heart. It was that serious, and I waited and I couldn't perform the operation because my poison levels were too high. And eventually, when I did go for the angiogram, I distinctly remember one of the doctors taking off his mask and shaking his head to say, throwing his mask down and as if to say, there's nothing that can be done for me.
Which hospital?
I went to Flora Hospital. And while I was laying there, a doctor came past, looked at me, and the doctor just shook his head and, he thought that's the end for me, and lots of people that I never seen since I was 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, But I mean, people that I grew up with as a small little boy, from the time when we were together in creche, I haven't seen these people in ages. And yeah, these people came to see me and I knew something was up. And then one person, family member, let the cat out the bag. When they were praying for me, they said, hey, this guy, that's when I realized I'm in trouble. And then they told me, look, it was ideally that I would go on to a transplant list because I was living off 10% of my heart. So all 4 chambers, it's 4 chambers in the heart. I was living off 10% of the one chamber. So I was basically a dead man walking. But yeah, I myself, the first time in a long time, I've actually prayed the one day. I thought it was the end for me. And instead of praying to stay alive, I just thought, you know what? I'll never forget the day when I laid in the ICU and as I put my head down on the table, they just said, I'm gonna meet with you now. Just please forgive me for my sins. And I just told God, that's it. Because I thought it's it. And then they actually told me, they said, listen, Mr. Martin, if you wake up, notice if you wake up, you will have a tube in your nose, down your throat. Don't panic. It's just to help you breathe, but we'll try and get you off it. You know what I mean? In due time. And you won't believe it. I woke up the next best thing. I woke up and I had tubes I could feel tubes in literally up my nose and in my throat. And the only thing I could think of there was just to ask, because they told me if I'll be on a life support machine. He said if I wake up, I'll be on a life support machine. And I distinctly remember when I opened my eyes, I thought, shucks, am I on the life support machine? And I signaled to my mother because none of the nurses could understand what I'm saying because I can't talk. I've got this big apparatus going up here. And I couldn't. So the only thing I could do was signal to my mother, and my mother had to come into the ICU where I was laying. And I asked for my mother's hand. I done this. My mother gave me a hand, and I wrote on her hand. And a mother always knows. As I wrote on her hand, she knew what I was asking, and I was writing on her hand with my finger. Am I on the machine? Am I on the life machine? And she says, You are, boy, but you're gonna be okay. You're not on life support, but you're breathing by yourself, but just relax. And I fell asleep. And that was the start of a whole new journey. Eh? I tell you something. That was
What did they do?
technically
Did you have to have a transplant or what the hell? Like how did you manage to?
no. So what happened was they cut open my chest, right? And they literally cut the chest. They saw it open. They use a ratchet and it opens up the chest. From what I understand is they take the heart literally out. Then they go into my legs from my hip right down to my ankle. They cut my leg open. So you can imagine a chicken bone or
Okay.
chicken or a leg. And you have this. And when they cut it open, they literally open it like a butterfly. And so they take the artery out and then they sew that, they cut it and they sew that artery onto my heart.
Wow.
And they connect it somehow so that they can get some life flow going into the heart. Yeah, and they stitch my arteries onto my heart and then they close me up. And by the time you wake up, you've got tubes in your arms, in your legs, in your neck, you've got tubes all over the show, everywhere. And yeah, it's pain, frustration on another level. I actually, you know what, there was many times I gave up. So before I went into that operation, because I was waiting so long to know whether I must have the operation or transplant or whatever the case may be, I actually gave up at some point. I actually thought, you know what, I just wanted to, I even requested, you know, I said, please, can I just go and die at home? Why do you want to put me through all this? I got to that point.
Yeah.
And after the operation, I had the same kind of, because listen, man, you're waking up here, right? You've got tubes everywhere, everywhere. You can't turn your head left, you can't turn your head right because you got tubes, you got tubes, you got tubes. Everywhere there's tubes. You can't even lift your hands up because you got tubes in your arms as well. I had things going in my arms. And every now and then a nurse would come in and inject me as if I was like a sponge. So just without warning me, without nothing, just wait in, needle in, draw dust, draw blood. It was crazy. Um, it was the most challenging part of my existence was that hospital room. And the only thing that got me out was my kids eventually, because I couldn't see them. I couldn't see them, couldn't touch them. I couldn't feel them. I couldn't hear them because kids were not allowed in the ICU. So I lay there and I had a lot of time to think. And I actually planned, I thought, you know what, I have to do things different with my business. I have to scale my business. Now, fortunately for me, I had a lot of automation. So while I was laying there, a lot of things were still being done in the background. Everything was still working as normal because I'd automated a lot of the things that I was doing. But I knew at some point, you know, I have to start changing my mindset, changing everything. And the only way I could do that was by literally looking at the picture of my kids on the window. And my wife put that there so that it could motivate, because she knew that my kids mean literally everything to me. They literally my left and my right hand. They all that I mean, I won't lie to you, in every sense of the word, challenge. I take so much sacrifice for my kids. And that actually motivated me, you know, just to get into another ward, into a normal ward. And by getting into a normal ward means I had to heal. So I had a catheter in me, bro. You know what that is?
Yeah, I know what
You
it is.
know what that is?
I know what it is, but I've never had it.
I had a catheter. So I had these things and I had to overcome them because it was bad.
So did
And
they
you
say,
know what? I've done it.
did they say what could have been the reason for the heart attack in the first place? Was it just
That's the look. Here's the thing, right? So you think that when something like this happens, you think that the first thing you want to know is what is the cause. That was my primary focus because I don't want to get it again.
Yeah, of course.
And you know what they told me? It wasn't my it wasn't anything it wasn't hereditary. It wasn't, it wasn't anything specific like, look, I am diabetic, I'm type 2, but it was controlled. I mean, um, it wasn't anything specific. So it was actually remarkable how I got into that situation. And it was even more remarkable of how I got out of the situation. I've had so many and they were stunned until today. They stunned. I mean, talking about cardiologists, cardiothoracic surgeons, doctors, GPs. Nobody could understand. And this is why, for me, it began to show me that our lives are more than just our lives. This is
I
why
was just gonna
when
say,
we, this is why for me, life is crucial. It's priceless. It is priceless. I always tell my sons that life is, it's a currency. Time is a currency that nobody can afford. You know what I'm saying? So while you don't have what you want to have, like maybe let's say, for example, you want an Aston Martin, or you don't want an Aston Martin, maybe you just want to have a beach buggy on the beach looking at the coast, whatever your inner desire is, can never meet time. Time is something that we all can't afford. Nobody can afford time. And we literally have between 60 on average, between 60 and 80 years. That's all we have. And how do you spend your time? And that's what I'm doing now. I spend my time doing the things that have meaning to me because I want to appreciate the time that I've been given. You know?
I think that's so important, bro. Like honestly, I think like I mean you had to go through a bloody hell of a experience to
Mm,
understand this, but like I'm sure
mm,
now, well, I hope that like a lot of people like through COVID and like being at
mm,
home and being forced to stay at home, it's helped people
mm,
to reevaluate like what is important in life. Because I mean, I was like
mm.
you, we were both the same. We always have big dreams,
Cool.
big goals, and we always
Cool.
trying to, get there. And
Cool.
it's like, I mean, I'm at the point now in my life, like I told my wife last night, it's like I'm finally happy with where I am right now. I'm not changing. I love my life. I
Beautiful.
love my family. I love what I'm doing. Like I've always got aspirations and dreams and
Mm,
hopes and stuff and whatever. But like
mm,
right here, right now, this
mm,
is it. Like this moment here, every single moment
mm.
we give thanks and we say thank you for these
So,
blessings. We say.
so that's the thing. I mean, you know, people take time for granted. They take life for granted. I mean, we always, our perception of how the world has perceived success. I mean, success can be measured in so many variables. You can have success in an array of things. You know what I mean? I view success in my personal life. I'm where you are. That's where I am. I view success from a perspective of being content, how content I am in my situation, in my life. If I'm content, I'm successful. Content for me means listening to the birds, being able to wake up and feel the sun shine on my skin, and not have the pressure of certain certain things that affect a lot of people. The thing is that money, unfortunately, what especially like now in the COVID era, um, money has kind of taken over that value system of people, and so they don't see the beauty in time and what they have. They rather see, they try and get, chase after money, and that is, in all honesty, I mean, it's the worst thing. It's you'll never have enough. There's Steve Bezos,
Mhm.
bless you.
Thank you.
There's Steve Bezos. There you have Elon Musk, and a number of guys, Bill
Oh,
Gates.
Bezos, yeah.
They'll tell you nobody is always permanently the richest guy. So someone always takes over from the next person. So when does enough become enough? Do you see what I'm saying? So my space is where my success is. And as long as I'm content and I'm happy and I have a good value system, that is technically what I know I aspire to be.
Awesome, bro. I'm happy for you, man, and it's good to see you in such a good place. We lost touch over 20 years, bro.
Yeah, big time, eh?
Like, I mean, we were like, you know, side
We
by
were
side
tight.
through high school, bro.
It's I was talking about you. I said to the small one, Jody. He's got a chili business, by the way.
Yeah.
And he says, you know, he's a very this child is very philosophical. He sees things from so many dimensions, and I love talking to him because he shows me all these dimensions, you know. And I was talking about him, and I said, I walked past this one plant. I don't know if you remember. We saw this one girl eat this plant. What is that? We used to play that Miami Vice. Uh,
Miami
those
Vice.
characters. We
Oh,
used to
what was
we
the
used to
name?
play those characters.
Miami Vice. Yes, someone in Tubbs. What is the other guy's name? I can't remember.
Uh, you know, was it not Sunny? Was it
Yeah,
Sunny?
but Sunny and
No,
Tubbs.
no, Tubbs.
I was obviously
Tubbs,
the
yeah.
white one.
Yeah, 100%. No, look, I say to my son, I say, no, I have such a good friend, and you know, I actually I let him see the podcast, right? And I said, you know what, this is what meaningful. You know, when you talk about philosophical theories and how people share their existence and their thoughts and stuff, and I thought this is case in point. You know, um, to see things and hear things from other people from a different perspective. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's mind blowing. And this child of mine, you know, I was telling about us when we were small and what we done and all the things
You don't want to tell him
I've
everything yet, bro.
nah. Yes, but we had a long journey. Eh? Look, we've come along. Yeah, goodness gracious,
You know
we've
what?
come along.
You know what? You know what I remember about you and your weirdness, bro? When you were lighties, now you used to make coffins for insects and make funerals for them, bro.
No, sorry, man. No, you know, it's eyeballs, man. It's eyeballs. I
Eyeball.
remember we used to go to the club, remember? Yeah, no, the first time I said put, you know what? Life, you actually showed me what life is. You actually
I was the
opened
bad
up.
influence friend, I say.
No, listen, I needed that because that kept me alive. That was like that flippin', you know, that made me alive. The thrill of jumping onto the taxi, going there to town, going into the matinee.
I was
No, really.
Yeah, no.
Nah, that was nice. It was a meaningful chapter in both our lives, eh?
Yeah,
I
man.
think it was something for the record books.
And
You know?
Florida Park High School as well.
Yeah, Florida Park High School. Gee, was no, I remember in the lake. Remember the lake?
How can I ever forget the lake, bro? Every
Yeah,
last day of school, every Sunday, every last day of school. Hey,
yesterday. No, we had a good time. We had some good times. So all these thoughts are flashbacks. You know, I when I was in hospital, I mean, I had thoughts like this. I had there was one thought I had. I actually was one day. I think you had a basketball T-shirt on. Was it a basketball T-shirt and a vest? I
probably.
think you're wearing a yeah, and where we were going somewhere. I think we were going to the lake or something. But these are the flashbacks that I've had. You know, I've had, and you know, when you have these flashbacks, you kind of think that's when I thought, no, just it's tickets for me because I
You're
thought,
not
no,
talking
yes,
about the accident.
yo, that was something. That was something. You still remember that's
How can
vivid
I
in my
forget
mind.
that, bro? How can I forget that day?
Ah, goodness gracious
You were
me.
with me from the start there, stealing the keys of the
Yes.
car, taking the
Okay,
car.
so remember, we exactly. So yeah, I was with you from the word go. And you know what? Truth be told, now that we so many years later into life, right? I'll tell you that day when we woke up there we were at your granny's house.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, I'll never forget. We still jumped into the shower. Hey, it was still we were plotting this thing now. We're plotting. And I'm thinking, I actually thought to myself, I thought, no, you know what? We're making a major mistake. But because I don't want to be a party pooper, I thought, you know what? Let's
And
just
I'm
go
so
through. Let me
I'm adamant, bro. Once I've got an idea in my mind,
exact you and you know what? I thought to myself, you know what? Um, nah, screw it. I'm going for the ride. I'm going along. And I'll never forget, we jumped. Now, when we jumped into the car, that's like really when I think it really began to sunk in now, and I thought, no, shit, something must happen, but nothing's gonna happen, nothing's gonna happen, and you had it under control. So here's the thing, you know what I always liked about you is that you had things under
I
control.
made it
You had
look
it.
like I always made it look like I have things under control.
Well, let me put it to this way, bro. For me, it looked like you permanently had things organized. And I think for a lot of us that day when we had the accident, for a lot of us that day, we relied, our confidence was because of you had confidence. You know what I mean? So it's like, even how scared I was sitting in that car, I'm like, yeah, when I thought about it, I thought, no shit.
We
And
were
so you
not.
know what I was thinking, where were we gonna park the car? So had we had gone safely to the club with the car, where would we have parked the car? That's what I was thinking.
Bro,
But I
I,
thought,
I
shit,
couldn't
you
even
got it
drive
figured out,
properly. I couldn't even
right?
drive properly, you know. I don't even know
No
how I
shit.
was driving that car.
Shit. So and the farther we went, here's the thing, right? The further we went, the more scared I was, because I thought, shit, it's like, when you're going out into the ocean, you think, okay, shit, you pass the sandbank, you're going further out. How the hell are you gonna come back? So I thought first, where we gonna park when we get to the club? I thought that was one of the things I thought about, and I could not help thinking the amount of shit we were gonna get into at some point. I just didn't know. And I just went ahead with it because I thought, oh shit, you know what? I had a thrill of my life, and I thought, you know what? Um, it's an experience. Let's do it.
Hey, but give thanks,
And
bro. Give thanks because we were,
yeah,
oh, any,
amen.
we were alive. That's the most important thing, you know what I mean?
So when the accident happened, I don't know what's your memory of it, right? But for me, it's almost like while I was sitting at the back there, uh, I just vaguely remember you were you I promise you you had it under control.
I thought
You
I
had
did. Yeah.
No, you did, because you were looking for something at with yeah at the by the a console, but where the coins department or something is there. You're looking for some, but or putting a tape or something, a music cassette or something like that. You were busy with something, and obviously our other friend, realized, nay,
Friend,
yeah,
my other friend.
yeah, other friend realized, no shucks, he's got to correct your driving, and that's where the issue
That
came,
was
because
it because
that
he
was
pulled
where
he pulled the
out.
steering wheel. He pulled the steering
Oh,
wheel and then I tried to like correct it and then the car started going like this and that's what happened.
and then I closed my eyes. I felt the car swerve, hit this, do that, and before you know it, I woke up, and we were like, my head was at the bottom under the, my head was at the bottom under the passenger seat. And the makes me see, it's almost as if we stranded on a deserted island. We get out that car, and yeah, no, look, at that point, obviously, and I know, and we all know, um, we knew we were in groot kak, yeah, jong. Yeah, we were in groot kak, but we had to make the decision to band together
And we did.
Well, those of us
Yeah,
that did
those of
band
us who
it,
did,
yeah,
yeah.
those of us who did flip and took it. And you know what I told myself? I distinctly remember. I knew I was going to be duck cock. I knew I was in Skeratoto, I was in big
Yeah,
shit.
only for David
But you know what?
find out about that.
I knew I was in serious shit, right? But what mattered more to me was sticking with my friends to because I knew I could not, I would not, I will not ever let you have taken the forefront. And I think you
Yeah,
know the other guys,
yeah, Jay and Griff also. Yeah, man, we
they
were
said
all
the same
together.
thing. They said, "Now you know what? We yeah, we flip and all made it. We all made shit together, yeah, and we're gonna flip and we're gonna be loyal to each other. We're gonna flip and be loyal to each other, and we're gonna flip and ride it out. We're gonna be stick together."
Yeah, but that's one thing, bro. I'll never forget about you. You were always a loyal friend, bro. To the core, to the T.
God,
There was
God.
one. I got this other memory now. I'm bringing out all the files.
Yo, 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 yo.
We went to the cricket to go watch the cricket. My uncle dropped us there.
You remember that? Oh my word!
We didn't watch any cricket.
I was
But
so pain the other day, and I thought about the cricket.
you
I
remember how
thought
fun
about
that
those
was?
days.
We didn't watch
So
any
with the
cricket, but we had
weapon,
so much fun, And you
yeah,
know
we
what I
had fun.
remember? We came home at my uncle picked us up there. He knew, I mean, he was cool. That's my cool uncle. OG.
Yeah,
He was always cool. He knew we were.
yeah.
We get home now. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I remember I dropped some green sambuca or whatever in the toilet, and my granny came in and she shouted me. Meanwhile, you sitting there with your briefcase doing homework at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, yes, now you gotta, now you memory. No, you know what? You touch on some good points there.
Bro, I remember
I'll
how
never
long
forget.
I remember how long.
Yes, yeah. When we were drinking, remember we got those plastic cups. Hey, we were drinking, young. Yeah, but the
Sambuca
sambuca
shots
was
and
the worst.
tequila and whatever. And,
Yeah, nah, that was the days. No, but you see again, you can't get days like that back again. Unfortunately, these are things that play in our show reel of life, you know. So, and we have a show reel of note. I mean, we
yeah.
have a show reel. We've created. Now, I won't lie to you. I would be in shit every day if I had to. If it means I had to have that kind of life, because that showed me another side to you know, I've got a story to tell. You know what I'm saying? I've got a story to tell. Um, but yeah, unfortunately, you know, you'll never be able to give up the actual experience that is coined from those from, and it all comes down to time. I mean, I look at you and I see my oldest friend in the history of my life. I mean, you were the first friend I actually had when I in my conscious memory. You are like my first friend, right?
I remember.
And you know, in my conscious memory, I mean, really, we would go back to preschool. You know what I'm saying? We go way back. I mean, um, and you know, it's many people come into your life and they touch your life, and they, you know, some people, you don't, you think they shouldn't be in your life because they cause you despair and pain and blah blah blah, but they're supposed to be there because they add, essentially they add to your story. They make your story valid.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry for all the shit that I got you into.
No, listen. Again, I mean, I wouldn't have appreciate. I have a deeper understanding of life and a deeper appreciation because of what I've been through, what I've done, what I've experienced. You remember the first time? Now this is so classified, but I mean, people see me and they see this brand that I've built now, and they kind of think, this guy is not a Mr. Goody Two Shoes, but they don't realize all the trouble I put up with you. And you know, the time when we went and we first had we the two of us went and we made this joint, right? And we sat and we had this thing, and I'll never forget the first time in my life I've done this with you,
Always with me.
you. Always with you. Yeah, see, the first time I smoked a cigarette in my life was with you. But it just shows how far we go back. I mean, and then I felt that I thought he was. So we started out in the school, Boston Primary, and then we were standing there, and I'm following your lead because we're standing there with the guys, and all the the guys are now, and we're standing and we lighting up, and I'm following your lead because look, I'm worried, I'm nervous, I've never done this before. I'm thinking, what's gonna be the effects? What's gonna happen? But I'm following your lead. I'm there with you. I'm following your lead. And the next best thing, I'm in a house party in Fleur of. Yeah, I got you. And then I have visions going there.
I think wasn't there like a fight or something that night, and we walked home all the way from Fleur or something.
Yes,
It was cold that night actually.
It was ice cold in winter.
I remember I just wore one diamond jersey just to look, and I was freezing.
Yeah. And I'll never forget, it was Biggest Small, right? You are still, and our ultimate favorite was Tupac.
Always.
Tupac was like, yeah, Tupac was the in thing. Yeah, and then we jumped on the train. Remember the train? Riding there on the train. Yes. You know that I've never in my life, so the first and the last time I was on the train was with you. Ever in my whole life.
Standing, holding the door open, riding on the train.
Exactly. So I'm not even being normal in a train. I mean, you're doing all the stuff for the train, and still at night. On top of it, we took trains in a day. Remember, we saw the club.
Come home from.
We took a train. We went to parts of the train, and my parents, my father will look at this podcast. He'll think, this little shit didn't tell me done all these things. But with you, it's the first time I went on the taxi, the first time I went on the train. I've had so many first times,
Waiting for it.
Yeah, nah, we had some good times.
But bro, low man, I just want to get a little bit, not sidetracked, but tell me about your business, man. Tell me about your tell me like what it's about, when you started, all that stuff. Tell me the story, man, because
So it's interesting that when we were in school, I used to sit and I used to have a big piece of paper, and I used to draw my life story on this piece of paper, because I was like, I was always like a dreamer, like a visionary dreamer kind of a person. Always used to visualize. I always used to visualize things. I was always a dreamer, and I used to draw, and I used to think, what do I want to do? I want to be a business person. I want to own my own company one day. I want to be like an entrepreneur, and as life went by, as time went by, I think we were in standard 8, then we went to, so it's grade 10 now, grade 11. By the time we got close to grade 12, so that's when I was going off the rails, you know what I mean? That's when I really went off the rails. I mean, that was a year my parents had a divorce, and they were married for a long time, and it affected me, and it affected what I was doing and things like that. And it affected me socially. But I thought to myself, you know what? I'm gonna pursue what I wanna pursue, but I'm not gonna be able to do it in school. And my mind wasn't there, and I was hardly even present in the final year. I mean, I was such a good guy all my life. here's a good guy. Up until matric, when I decided to go rogue, and I went rogue in my final year of life, I decided to go rogue. I went rogue because I never had a good pass. You know what I mean? I never passed well. My mother said to me one day, she said, you know what, boy, no one is going to know how clever you really are if you don't get the results you really need to get. And I said, I'm not going to go back to school. That's one thing I'm not going to do.
Yeah, well, you come
And
from a
that's
very academic background, let's say.
exactly, exactly. And believe it or not, guess what? Guess what? So here's a secret I'm going to reveal on your podcast, right? I wrote matric without studying.
Me too. Me too.
I wrote, I had no study material, I had nothing. I went in there, and what was served to me, whatever I thought what the answer could be, I flippin' elaborated myself. And believe it or not, I flippin' still managed to pass. But naturally, I am somebody that is, I am like an academic person, but it's just that at that point, my mother wanted me to go back and just get to do what was destined to do, but I just couldn't. I couldn't get back into that. I couldn't get back into that
Mindset.
space. You know what I mean? So I decided. I thought to myself, the only way for me to get to accomplish this vision that I had from a little boy, I went on. I was still in high school, going up out of high school, to become this entrepreneur. I thought, you know what? I've got to get my skill set right. So I know that if I had to, inevitably, if I had to go into a university, I was going to do a general everything all at once, and I would not be still where I want to be because it would just be a general degree. So I thought, you know what? Let me start off by zoning into getting into a college and doing web design and web. And to get in there, you needed to have things like, you needed specifics, exemption, this, that. And this guy looked at my results. He said, nah, you know what, your son can't come. Your son can't come in there, right? Sorry about that. And what happened was, sorry, man. Where was I?
We're talking about your course.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, so this the you want to call it a dean said, okay, to my mother, look, because she was really adamant I needed to get in. So he said, okay, fine, let's see what he can do. And I actually had to go in there and I had to show what I could do to get in there. And once I got in there, I excelled to a point where I didn't even need the lessons from the lecturer, so to say. I mean, I somehow knew and I absorbed the information at such a rapid rate that I just went on to the next thing and I got this bursary from this one guy. He said, you know what, he really liked what I was doing. And he gave me this bursary to go and study at NIT. And from there, it just took off because then I just went into different places. I came to London. I studied a bit in London there. I came back into, I went to SAP in Woodmead. I basically went into different spaces in IT and I maxed myself out. I maxed myself out in support. I got to the highest point I could get in support. I maxed myself out in graphics. I maxed myself out in web. I maxed myself out in even security at one point. I maxed myself out. And then I went into SAP, into business analyst, business information, informatics, those things. And I maxed myself out there. And so here you have somebody that's doing all these things. And the only way I could actually render myself was through my business. Because if I had gone and worked for a company and done one thing, I would have been wasting away all the other parts of my skill set. So the only way for me to bring everything into perspective was through this business. And so I pushed to different companies. And one day I got into this uh, entrepreneurship prosperator, almost like an incubator. And I spent 3 years of my life there studying entrepreneurship. And I think that was the actual growth spurt, because that was after the operation. When I came out of hospital, I got into this academy. And this is technically where I actually grew, because I got a sponsorship. I had a bursary as well. And I studied through there, and I made it the first year, the second year, the third. By the time I got to the third year, towards the end of the third year, graduating, I already knew this is technically who I am. And you know how rich that is to study something that you honestly, truthfully desire. And for me, I was doing entrepreneurship by experience. Before I done the theory, before I studied, I was doing it in experience. You know, I was working with companies and blah, blah, blah. It's only when I studied it, formally studied it, in those 3 years is where I began to pick up. And that's really my growth spurt. It happened from that perspective, you know. So and yeah, so look, today I looked at my son, the small one, Jody, and I look at him and I see, you know, his desires, and it's amazing how close your children latch onto you. It's goodness gracious. I looked at this child, he's got ideas that's way beyond my understanding. This kid,
anything like you, man.
so for many people out there, don't realize that a lot of things that I've done in Wiram and the other companies I've been involved with is that my ideas actually come from a then 12-year-old boy. He's now 13. But he gave me a lot of, most of the ideas that I get actually comes from this child. You know what I mean? And so when they see his business, when you see this chilly business of his, people will look at this thing and they'll think, well, his father's a businessman, his father's an entrepreneur, his father's, no, hell no. This child does that whole concept, the idea, everything is his. It's his brainchild. He thinks all these things up. You know, we're planning right now on scaling that as well. Now we hope to scale it.
What does Wiram do though? Like, is it just IT? Like, what I mean, what kind of things do you do?
So what Wiram is, we are a technology organization. So what we basically do is we have different facets of our service offering. We've got apps. We do apps, graphics, websites, even gamification, which is, you know, creation of games, branding, taking your brand and making a game out of it. We do normal support, which is IT support, network support, advanced support. We do a lot of development systems. We make systems, web-based systems. Then we have a security wing where we do IT security. I can't say too much about that, but we do cyber security. And then we do also hosting, like, you know, technology hosting and those kind of things, you know. So, but yeah, we've got, like, literally we do client business for people all over the show. I mean, we've got hosting clients, people that's in Vienna, you know, in Austria. We've got people all over the globe, you know. But yeah, it's the company itself, you know, had a growth spurt at one stage where we went into, the idea was to have multiple retail stores, and we opened up a store. And obviously with that, you know, we need, it was a dynamic that we wanted to grow into. But you know, the passion wasn't there. It wasn't right for something of a retail concept. So we realized that, you know, we try to look at, you know, you have business to consumer and business to business. And we realized that our forte, our target market is actually business to business. That's our strength was. And I tried to persuade myself, because here's the thing, right? I'm I'm in business with myself, with Wiram. So I'm like reporting to myself. And you won't believe it. People think I maybe be crazy for saying this, but I have meetings with myself. I literally have meetings. So I have a progress meeting with myself. I have to report to myself what it is, where we are, what I'm doing, this, that. I literally have a meeting with myself. And the other side of myself then critically analyzes the other part of myself and will say, no, you know what, you never done this, you never done that. Like for the store, when I wanted to go into retail, I had to go, retail is more, in that space, I wanted to go business to consumer, direct to consumer, and not go business to business. And I would tell myself that's the wrong thing to do. And I'd be at war with myself. I'd actually be at war. And I had to literally settle with myself, my inner self. I had to say, okay, fine.
Can you fire yourself?
I had to convince myself. I had to do a pitch to myself. I had
Can you fire yourself?
So, this is the thing. I mean, a lot of me, got tired along the way of listening to myself. So, it's just remarkable. People think, you know what, because I'm sitting at the top, I have nobody to report to. Nobody knows that I'm the worst judge to myself than anything else, because I'm so blunt with myself. I'm honest with myself. I tell myself, if you look at some of my, when I do my media, you'll see a lot of the media that I do, the videos and stuff that we put together. I'm hard on myself. I literally clamp down. I shut down myself and say, okay, look here, this whole segment that has been produced, let's say maybe it's 4 to 5 weeks old. Discard everything. I'm not happy. So once I've passed my own level of achievement, accomplishment, that's when obviously a small little boy, I call my son in, I say, look here, what do you think? And this is what people don't know. People think that they don't know that there was a small child looking at this footage of mine and telling me, nope, it's horrible. Nope, cut it. Now we have to do scenes. We have to go and shoot. It was immense. But what I picked up was that self-discipline is what you have to have. You have to be disciplined inside. You have to have a sense of responsibility when you do your business. And most people don't realize. They think, it's just there for the, it's all fame and whatever the case may be.
Or they just prefer working for someone else to tell them what to do. You know what I mean? They'd rather just do that.
100%. So, for me, I've always had a higher calling, and sometimes I almost hate myself because I've got this other side to me. And what's weird, yeah, right? What's weird? You know that I'm a twin, eh? But obviously you didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Okay, so I'm supposed to be a twin, right? But my twin, the ego, whatever the case may be, didn't develop properly. And so we actually had to be two people. So there would have probably been a second person right here, right now, of me, a sibling, besides my older brother. And when I was born, when I was born with a fully grown tooth. You know that?
No, I didn't know that.
You never knew that?
I might have heard that story sometime, but I can't remember. Yeah.
I was born with a fully grown tooth. So all these things happened to me mysteriously, and I didn't know all these things until, obviously, later in life. I mean, even that time, remember when I broke my arm?
Yeah, I remember that.
When I was 10, I broke my arm. And then I realized, because I was always strong, my dominant hand is my left hand, right? Yeah. This is my dominant hand. So my whole side.
You were always ambidextrous, though. You could always do
100%.
Yeah.
I'm ambidextrous. So you know what I began to think late in life is that this person, when I report to myself, it's
Maybe
almost as if I'm reporting to my twin. Could it be that the other side is the twin? You know what I'm saying? Could it be that that's how I'm able to keep this self-discipline, self-control of where he's telling me, or saying, listen, you can't do this, you can't do that, you don't do this, you don't do that, you're gonna get in trouble, you're gonna do this if you do that, just do it like this, do it like that. And I would always cede into that voice. I would always give in. So I have one side that would always tell me the right thing, and then I had the other side that was naughty, that will want to dare and want to do this and want to do that. So I think coming down to it, in the end, it's helped me. That has helped me because let me tell you, when you're sitting at the top, it's a lonely place. You can't call on somebody to help you out. You can't call on uh, anybody to give
that
you the answer for this, for that. It's the decision starts with you. You have to, I'm the head, I'm the chief technologist of the company, which means I have to research almost every single day. Every single day, I have to look for new technology. I have to learn how the technology affects industry, what it does, what the different types of technology does to the industry, how it affects businesses, what the input of it will be from a usage perspective, you know. So these are
that's
all the things.
that's one of the questions I was gonna ask you is like, what do you think about all like the technological advancements? Like from the time when we were lighties, bro, we didn't have nothing, internet, phones, none of that shit, bro. So like, I mean, what do you think, especially in South
So,
Africa? Like,
bro, I'll be honest with you. I mean, before I am where I am, I mean, I used to research, maybe like proper study, like take out a book. I still have paper, though I'm a paperless guy. I still have these books, massive books that I write in, and I record stuff and I research. And it used to be about maybe once or twice a month on average. But now it's become really excessive. Now it's like, at the rate that we're going at now, it's literally gone way beyond. It's like now I'm like I told you, I'm like, so on a Saturday, every Saturday I sit and I research every single Saturday, and during that I do minor segment research. I have case studies that I work on, but this has become my way of life. So I have to keep ahead, and I got nobody else to fall back on. I've only got myself. So I've got nobody to ask for advice. I've got nothing. It's just me, and that's the challenging thing, where I sit. And those days with technology. I mean, I'll tell you something else. One day, I used to like the phone. I mean, I used to love the phone. And one day, my father locked the phone because the phone bill
oh
was,
yes, oh yes.
here we go.
You taught me
You
that,
know it.
bro. You taught me how to do that
So
shit.
wire,
Yes,
so
how to
wiring,
study, how to
so hot wire the phone.
hotwire phone.
So how's this for size, bro? So we can just emphasize and just kind of
You taught me
brief.
that. You say my mother could never figure out how I managed to unlock the phone. My brow went.
Yes, yeah, bro. And that day, so it was such a special day because I sat there, and my father and him left, right? And I knew I had to phone the guys. I had to phone the guys. I had to phone. I just had to phone. I had to
Don't forget
communicate
the
with
girls
people.
also. Don't forget the girls that
Yeah,
wanted to use the phone.
I mean, really, really. That, I mean, look, that more than anything.
Phone limit.
Um,
Phones were off limits that time. Get off the phone. You're talking too long. Ah. My
oh,
mother never even let me use
so
the phone.
so here's the thing. I see the bag, and I saw with old phones in the cupboard. So I decide to open the cupboard. I take the bag out. I look at this phone, I thought to myself, now let me examine this thing. How the hell, how does it work? And I never forget that day when I physically thought, now the only way I'm gonna get to understand this thing is if I open it. And I open it and I see the wires and I see the circuit board. And I think to myself, now you know what? I start to make the link. I say, okay, blue. And so it was, yeah, blue, white, red, green, and I decide, no, hang on, let me change the coordination around. I change the coordination around and I tap, and boom, there we go.
That was the best ever, bro. I'll never ever forget that shit.
Yeah.
My mother
Yeah.
couldn't figure it out how I was managing.
Yeah.
Why is the phone bill so high? How is this child managing the phone? Meanwhile, Wade taught me how to bloody hotwire the phone. And shit.
So both of us have an ear for music. Right.
Yeah, you've always had, man. You've always been able to play by ear, banging on the table, making beats with your hands.
Start.
Never forget that.
I know my son is like that. Man.
Is it? Do you still
Yeah,
play any
he's
music?
like
Do you
that.
still do any music? Or?
No, I just play, I to pass time. I've got a keyboard, but I play for them. I play India. I play at home. I just play. So I let them put something on the TV, and I'll play along with it. Whatever plays, I'll just join in. I'll add. I'll just add to it. Sometimes I'll play something on YouTube, then I'll just add. I'll just come in. I'll either come in from a lead role, and I'll just play the keyboard, the lead role, or I'll come in. I'll just hit my down at the from the lower notes. The lower notes from middle C down towards the like bass clef, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
More on the left side. And I with a phone story and my musical ability. One time my father, if you realize, he caught me out and he said, nah, you know what? This child, I'll never forget the day when he caught me. I had the hotwire at the phone and they went out and he forgot something and he came back and a flippant spring shot out and he caught me. Boom, that's it. I was gone. But then he put in a tone.
Yes, wasn't it the thing with the tones that you could remember the tone? Because I remember that.
Now I
thought,
no, shit. I listened to it, and what my father never realized is that I pressed the redial button. So when he goes, he'll dial, he'll lock the phone, and what I will do is I'll press replay, and I'll hear and I will actually go on the keys and go and I'll get the code like that. And once I hack the code,
bro, you were the king of the phone. I remember that.
Can you believe it, eh? Oh, man.
It makes sense. It makes sense that you're running your own technology company, bro. It makes sense.
Yes.
You're destined for this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
man. I was
man.
wondering about your music, bro, because you used to just any song, anytime you just play it, you just pick it up, you hear it, and you play it, man. Just by ear.
So when my kids, they sometimes like like the small one now, like I say, the big one. He's got a lot of my artistic ability. So he draws a lot. He paints. He's got
draw a lot as well and sculpt and stuff.
So 100%. And again, it comes down to me and this twin of mine, right? So one side is artistic and the other side is technical. And that's how I'm able to have a whole brain kind of effect. But with a keyboard, it's like I play, so I hit the tunes, I play drums. Yes, gee was I play drums on until today, right as we speak today. I was whacking a tune, on the kitchen counter, and my son, the small one, joins me. So with the keyboard, I've flushed out to reading music. I don't know if you remember the time I went to music lessons. I used to go to music lessons in Florida.
I remember, yeah.
My father,
your father, yeah.
My father, he eventually said he didn't want me to just play by ear because he wanted me to read. But I was already spoiled. It spoiled me. I mean, I was lazy. All I wanted to do was hear the tune, and I knew where to go on the keyboard with the tune.
That's a gift.
So I still do it today. I stopped. Only time I read music was in the time that learned how to read, but I never pursued reading. I just, from that point, I mean, I would bunk music lessons even, and then when I do go to music lessons, I would play by ear, make sure I'm
Yeah,
the last person. I make sure everybody goes before me so I could hear what they're playing. So by the time I go, I'm pretending that I'm reading, but I'm not reading. I'm playing by ear. And
that's
here I
more
go.
important anyway.
You know what she done? She put the wrong song on the key. I don't know how she kind of figured I may be playing my ear. I don't know how she got it right, but she just said, okay, look. She said, now she's gonna put this thing on, and I just went and I was playing. And I was playing, and she's like, wow, you read very well. I'm like, wow, what can I? Meantime, it's the wrong song, and I'm reading. I wasn't reading anything. And I was busy playing. She said, listen. And I'll never forget, she told my father, I said, you know what, this child of yours, you know, he's remarkable in the sense that he plays by ear, you know, but he's not reading the bloody music. He's not doing his music lessons homework, you know. But yeah, I mean, I really love, you know, I look at you and I'm so joyous in the bottom of my heart because you just, you know, you doing things, you doing something that I really wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? Work with music as my, you know,
It's
that's what
never
I
too
want to
late,
do.
bro. It's never too late.
Yeah, yes, you know what? In reality, it's a side that's thirsty of my life. I'm like thirsty to explore and to proceed with that part of my life. And you know, some of the, if you look at some of my videos and the multimedia that we do, a lot of it comes from my ability to understand an aura, a genre, sorry, of music, and how to put it together and how to merge it. A lot of things you'll hear the music that a lot of it is merged into it. A lot of my videos has music tracks that's merging, and I have that ability because I've got the ear, right?
Yeah, you'd be a
But
super producer and an engineer, bro. You're not too old, you know. You're still young, bro.
hey, nah, I suppose so. But you know, in the direction that I'm in at the moment, you know, it's not like I'm unhappy in the space that I'm in, you know, or that's the other thing. So I'd be happy. I'd be more happy to do work in your space, but I'm also not unhappy where I'm at now. You know what I'm saying? So
Or
um
maybe as a hobby, you know.
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. They say if you do your hobby as a career, you'll never work a day in your life. You know, Um, my son asked me today, he said, now, but Tara, what exactly? I mean, what are you know, because I haven't been, I've had like, since this COVID happened, as you can, I mean, you see now, technically I would have probably been sitting in the office now, even at this time, but I'm at home. I mean, I spend a lot of the time at home. I spend it with my kids. They do online schooling. And my son says to me now, he says, you know, like what exactly, besides run a company, I mean, besides learn technology and do technology, you know, what exactly do you do? I don't, I see other people, they go in, they get up in the morning, they get into their cars, they told now, especially here in SA, you're supposed to go back to the office and this and that, but you don't. Why don't you, you know, what is it that you know, what is it that you do that's different to other people? I said, you know what, again, it comes to time. So I chose to do what I'm doing. Look, I've got comorbidities, you know, I've got comorbidities, I've got heart, I'm living with heart disease, and I've got
Yeah, so you're high
like
risk as well, man.
myras. But look at life. I'm able to work in by myself. I'm able to be alone. My team runs the office for me. So and I'm able to sit and, you know, like you're sitting in a stand watching over a soccer game, or sorry, rugby. Rugby, I like to say the rugby coaches, they sit on the stands and they look down at the rugby field, and they tell the field coaches or whatever the case may be what changes they want and blah blah blah. So I kind of do the same thing right now. So I'm like, yeah, I'm at that space where I'm looking over the company, and I'm kind of like working the spheres of, okay, now that must be done. So I'm working really on the business now, Um, but it's taken me a long while to get a lot of sacrifice, a lot of pain to get where I'm at. And I still believe I haven't really, I am where I want to be from a perspective of, I'm not unhappy. Like I said, I'm happy where I'm at, but I still believe that there's a lot of growth that I still need to go through.
Yeah.
And I still believe it's a lot of, um, I have a lot of things still to contribute. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things I need to contribute to the world,
Let me ask you this before we like I just want to wrap up a bit. But I wanted to ask you, so are you like religious or spiritual? I don't ever remember you being, but like, and now like what, like?
Yeah, look, let me put it this way. So the time I came, when I was in that hospital bed, right? I became deeply, deeply connected to God, and I became my love, especially for, Lord. I know I'm Christian, so obviously, my philosophy is obviously to look at Jesus, and I'm deeply, I'm born again Christian, but I'm not the type of person to Bible punch. I don't, and I'm completely objected to forcing a way of life onto somebody, or to push somebody into a space. I'm completely against it. I'm utterly completely, because it's got spiritual and religious is two different meanings. Spiritual is you gravitate towards it. Religious is because you have to do it. It's something you do religiously, you have to do it. It becomes a pattern, it's a habit. But I'm more spiritual. So I rather have an inner connection with the Lord, and I would pray and things like that. And I would rather be an obedient person, and try and lead by example, so that if you were to see my way of life and see how I love and things like that, then you'd kind of like, you'd kind of think, okay, hang on, it's different. I'm so against people that try to encroach, trying to choke you to say, this is what you need to do. And my son, well, both of them, every single night they read the Bible by themselves, by the way. My son, the small one, he's read the Bible already. You know what I'm saying? So, but he takes the bigger one, the oldest one now, and they have a prayer meeting, and they pray, and I join them.
That's cool.
They also have it with with us, with their mother. And for us, for me, I've never told him, listen here, you must do this, you must do that. And I think by loving my life the way I've loved it, and the way I'm loving it, is I want to lead by example. So he sees how I am, and he sees it's not a matter of forcing your beliefs onto somebody else. I'm not going to force anything onto the next person. If they want to believe one thing, then, it's your own journey. It's your experience. For me, I've had my conversation with the Lord, and that's who I choose to be with, but, and yeah, I'm happy and content
That's
there. Space.
I appreciate that, bro. Honestly, it's been amazing catching up and talking to you and hearing about all your experiences and stuff, bro. And I just want to thank you again for coming on and giving me
Thanks for
time.
having me. And by the way, I am one of, if not I am, your biggest bloody fan. Let me tell you something. I absolutely love your content, brother. You have struck a nerve in my life. I literally look up. I actually keep myself open for an hour, because that is the time I'm gonna watch your. I actually would not watch it until I have nothing. Everything is out, everything is it's over for the day, and this is what, or it will be in the morning. But I schedule myself because your content. Sometimes I even stop and I rewind, and I go back and I listen again for a second time. I take a, and I listen again, and
No,
probably gonna watch myself here talking, but this is the thing, your content is super rich. It's super rich, and I'm your biggest fan.
no,
I'm
I
really your
appreciate it,
biggest
my
fan.
brother. Honestly, I do, man. Bro, do you have any like last words? Or I mean, I'll put all your links and I'll put all your ads and descriptions in the description and stuff. Is there any last words you want to leave me with or messages for the people?
Well, look, all I can basically say is time. I just wanna, if it's anything or if it's any consolation, um, I would encourage everybody and anybody looking at time to re-look at it and to really cherish it, how you spend it. Because in reality, if you're gonna sit and close your eyes for the next 10 minutes, that's how you're gonna spend your time. Time is the most important commodity, and it's the most important currency you'll ever have in your life. Spend it wisely because it's running out. It's running out.
All right.
That's my parting words.
All
Is
right.
that you never get it back.
Well, thank you so much, man. This has been the Other Side of the Sun podcast. My boy Wade Martin, and we out.